Today, I'm critiquing the most expensive compound in America, and then I'm gonna give it an Arvin score at the end of the video. So if you ever decide to buy, remodel, or build a compound yourself, you won't make the same mistakes. I'm Arvin Haddad. I'm the how to buy a mansion guy. Let's watch this video together.
Today, we are in Glenbrook, Nevada on beautiful Lake Tahoe, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite places in America. It's just stunning everywhere you look. There's just so many picturesque moments. And we're on a compound nicknamed Shakespeare Ranch. And it gets that nickname from a couple hundred years ago during the logging industry days. When settlers first came to Glenbrook, they looked up at this rock, which is a part of this compound, and said, hey, that kind of looks like Shakespeare.
Dude, I don't see a Shakespeare at all. Let's take a closer look. Let's see if we can find Shakespeare. Hold on. Dude, the settlers were tripping.
But right here, we just have this towering Jeffrey pine tree, which is actually the largest of its species in the state of Nevada.
Does it have hallucinogenic properties, Kevin? Does it? I think the settlers were tripping out.
Some of the residents here are nicknamed after different playwrights, like To Be or Not to Be, Romeo and Juliet, those famous iconic plays. And then in the backdrop, we just have Shakespeare Rock, which if you can hike up to the top, just incredible views of the lake down below.
All right, let's talk about the property. Massive acreage right on the lake. It didn't have the gate. You gotta have the gate at, the entrance. It's a compound. I don't see a single structure centered and, it just seems like they've built a lot of different properties. So the approach is a little tricky, but let's take a closer look later in the video. Maybe it will come to us.
This is one of the few places in the world where you can have a rodeo going on, rock climb, hike, and then also go out on the lake. Right here we have a 1931 Model A, which just leans into the heritage and history of this property. There's just so many stories and so many personal touches here. So right here we have the communal lawn, the gazebo set up, the different cabins and cottages that they've made throughout the years, and historical sites. As we step over into the barn, which was actually built by those loggers back in 1873.
All right, pay attention here. Like, this is how my brain works, okay? So when I see an authentic barn built in the, 1800s, I'm paying attention to the architectural aspects of this. So later on in the future, if I'm consulting or helping a client buy a barn, I'm judging that barn based on the authenticity of this. So I'm paying attention to the roof line, the angle of it, the width of it, the planks, how they're vertical at the bottom and then horizontal at the top. This is an authentic barn made many years ago, and this could be an inspiration for you to build a barn for yourself in, wherever you live.
So this is the ultimate entertainment space. There's everything you can think of and imagine and dream up inside these walls. So now stepping in to the barn, this is going to be our first of 17 structures that we visit. Full commercial grade kitchen, set just aside, live edge countertops, and also stainless steel appliances everywhere. Perfect for a Michelin star chef. And it also has hand painted on here Shakespeare Ranch, which is super special.
Wow, this is legit. What a beautiful space. It literally feels like one of these Western movies that, I used to watch when I was a little kid. I mean, the placement of the kitchen right up front is really not inspiring, but the bar is on the other side. But it's so eclectically original that it really steals your heart. That one element that I'm pretty sure it's new is the brick. As you can see, they got wood planks over here on this side, and you had natural stone. So I wonder what was the original floors of the barn, because that would be really cool to know. It might have been just dirt. It might have been just hacked dirt or something, but very authentic. And what a great place to entertain.
So a fully stocked bar, more live edge, just again, a callback to the logging days. And of course, conveniently located next to the bar is our poker table. So super fun, just again, this is the party barn. This is where it goes down. And then above, another callback to the logging days in this area. This wasn't always just beautiful ranch land, and this is obviously a great callback to the logging boom back in the late 1800s. You have Carson City logging written on this two-man chainsaw. And this entire place before it was this resort, this generational compound, right? It was rooted in just history and hard work.
Oh, I think he just gave it away. He called it resort, and I think they are using it as a resort. And that's why they have a lot of different structures in there. But this is important. I'm getting a lot less of a compound vibe. I'm getting a lot more of a subdivision vibe. The way they've placed these structures on the property, it has this organization as a small town would. Like that whole grass area in the middle is like the city center, right? The plaza in the middle of the town, and these structures are encouraging you to congregate in the middle. Which is really reminiscent of how small cities started.
So off the bar area, it transitions into this little dining moment. Play cards right here, hang out, watch people dance on the dance floor here. If you're hosting those gatherings, you can go over here in this more intimate space with the piano, the guitars, and of course you have a microphone.
Is that the Shakespeare we're supposed to see? Because I didn't see anything. Look, authentically speaking, this is on point. The decor, furniture could have been slightly better, but I don't know. If you're really going for that older look, you might as well just use older furniture and everything too, because it definitely feels like a barn. What a great place to kind of bring everyone from all these little structures on the property to hang out together, right? It serves a really amazing purpose.
Dining table set just in the center. I don't know if that picked up on the mic, but there's a goat over there just screaming. And then we've got Step Revolution right here. This is so cool. Like this is the game room side, so friends and family can gather here. A lot of cool touches in here, but we're gonna keep the tour moving. On this tour, we're gonna step up, and we're actually gonna head to the indoor pool, which is just straight. You can actually see this sight line all the way through this covered portion, all the way through the meadow, through the pool. It's incredible. There's so many amazing vantage and sight lines on this property. So this is closer to where we began this tour, and everyone can kind of congregate on this lawn from all these different structures. So you'll notice the new and the old blends perfectly with modern comfort in each and every one of these homes. Just stunning.
I disagree. I don't think these two structures next to each other really blend, and their proximity to each other is not ideal. Just the way they've put the roads and connected and the grid really gives me spark and the initiation of a small town. It seems like it's going through an organic growth phase. So I see it perfect for a cult leader, to start a cult. It doesn't have that centerpiece property in the middle that really brings the attention to it. It just naturally growing little town.
But now, walking down this pathway, so you can hear the goats yelling at me. Wow, that was a big one. We have all these quaking aspen trees lining just that pop of white bark against the lush greenery that we have in here. It's just incredible. And then in my opinion, nothing is better than a long lake day, especially out here on this beautiful water that we have on Tahoe. And then having a shared fire with your friends, and then of course roasting marshmallows and just creating memories. And then at night, these string lights just cast a nice ambient glow. It just creates a really, really nice calming vibe.
I agree. This is amazing. This part is just gorgeous. And it seems like there's another barn on this side. This seems a lot more similar to the first barn. This structure seems newer and a little bit out of place. It would have been cool if they had a little bit more continuity and used some of the older material instead of the newer ones.
Stepping through here, I'm gonna show you guys something really quick. You'll have all this natural stone in here as well, lined with wood, and actually has a back entrance where there's two separate two-stall car garages. And I love how they have everything out here, just again, visually very stunning. And then in the back, you have more of the functionality, the utility of those garages, and then a men's and women's restroom in this hallway. And then upstairs, there's actually a study and a full gym. So much space to spread out.
You could have had a bigger gym than this, bro. You've had acres and acres. That gym was not inspiring at all. And I'm a little bit disappointed with window placement, window sizes of this structure. You see how these windows are humongous for these dormers over here? It just, you wouldn't see that on a older barn. And you can compare it to the ones on this side. They're much, much bigger windows. So again, that's to me an architectural flaw. And I just hate the fact that they didn't use the natural wood barns on the exterior. I'm fine with the middle roof for the sake of not getting leaks and everything, but this structure just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. It just kind of devaluates and kind of snaps you out of that authentic feel and vibe and makes it more modern in not a cool way.
Walking all the way down, the incredible sightline through the pool, just stunning. The metal siding now transitions into this wood, which was actually pulled from different barns around and reused and repurposed here with fire retardant oil to make it look weathered like the actual barn from 1873. So stepping inside your indoor pool here at Shakespeare Ranch.
Wow, what a swimming pool. This is a proper lap pool. I really like the fact that they brought indoor plants over here to kind of bring the outside inside, and it opens up on, I think, both sides to the outside. You get plenty of natural light coming in. It's kind of almost, you know, qualifying it as, you know, an outdoor pool, so you wouldn't need one. But for property of this acreage, I still would have liked to see an outdoor pool. Lake Tahoe is extremely cold. The water, even in summer months, I remember as a kid going into the water and it was freezing. Yeah, I couldn't stay longer than a few minutes in there. So I think if you didn't have the space, this would absolutely do. But because you do have so much land, it would have been nice to have an outdoor pool as well.
It's just one of those unexpected moments. It feels more Aspen Spa than, you know, Tahoe Barn, but it feels like a boutique resort. And that's one of the qualities that this place really nails. Beneath our feet, we have these polished rock and those blue hues really being brought out, not only by your 25-meter heated lap pool, but also, if you look above, the blue that's lining the bamboo on the ceilings here, the skylights, really illuminating and just emphasizing these exposed trusses and those exposed metal brackets that go all the way down to the opposite end of this pool. I want to also quickly point out the fact that we have 2 full bathrooms off to my left and right, and then back here, upstairs, full laundry set up, so you have everything under one roof, and then in here, a full steam shower room. So this is an incredible space to, again, unwind, get centered, and you'll notice the tile as well has that forest quality as well, since we're out here on the ranch.
Okay, I think they got the palette right. The choices of material is, you know, average, but just getting the palette right sets the mood so much. It does so much for you. If you pay attention, you got the beautiful contrasting colors of that white oak finish on the walls, and you got this greenish paint color. You got the greenish granite with a little bit of brown, and then you got the blue of the swimming pool with the river rocks. It works.
We're gonna loop around here and check this out. This view is just incredible. Again, 130 acres that we're working with here. So imagine riding horses out in the pastures. I mean, you could really do anything you want out here. It's incredible. And just amazing mountain range views.
All right. I'm not really worried about privacy for the sake of these properties looking into you. They're really far away and they're looking at the pastures and the cowboys and, you know, the outer structures. But I am worried about your property line, okay? Whenever you have a massive amount of land, like this 70 acres, you're gonna have a lot of neighbors. And you have to be very cautious about encroachments to your property, because this house over here could, you know, move their fence by 5 feet and it would take you 2-3 years to find out. So it's a negative of having your property with so many other neighbors next to you. And you gotta be cautious of that.
I also have multiple setups for lounging, the hot tub behind me, and just stargazing out here. There's literally minimal, if not any, light pollution out here, so you can just stargaze every single night. It's incredible.
Wait a minute. Come on, is this the best place you could have put a jacuzzi? And why would you put one of these? You've spent millions of dollars on this swimming pool and your jacuzzi was an afterthought. I think this should have been built into the ground. I don't find this really attractive over here whatsoever. And I would argue you could have had a jacuzzi on the lakeside, because, you know, this is a lakefront property. So again, I'm not super happy about this.
We're gonna step down a few steps back onto the lawn. More incredible views of the meadows and the mountain ranges. And then this is your garden setup right here. So you can almost be fully sustainable here. You could have cattle, you could set up something over here to like produce your own meat and obviously grow whatever you'd like out here.
Pretty weak vegetable garden for 170 acres. You can't even feed a horse with this. Yeah, like 7-8 structures, maybe more. This is not gonna cut it, buddy. This might be like a little mint for your tea. You can't cook worth anything with this.
But now we're gonna step down this gravel pathway. I wanna show you guys where we had the horses set up earlier in their stalls. We fed them some biscuits and got to hang out with a couple cowboys where I basically pretended to be a cowboy for a couple hours. But here you have the stables, powder coated green, metal. You've got the heaters. Everything's very, functional, but very modern as well, just built obviously to last and goes along with the overall ranch aesthetic.
I agree. Very clean, very organized, well done.
They've really got everything because this home, as you can see and tell as we walk through it, is just built for entertainment. So heading past the barn, we're gonna go check out the rodeo area and the goats that have been yelling the entire video. But look at this barn. I want to show you guys the side of this really quick. This is the structure where the stable is. I mean, look at the size of these doors.
All right, let's judge this. Look, they've done a few things really, really well, okay? First of all, they used older plank woods from other barns to give it the old look. But one thing gives it away is this, okay? You wouldn't see this in a new, older barn, right? The angle is a little off, and also the height of it is off because they wanted to place this door over here. They didn't want to bring it down and create that, space between. But if anything, this is the one part that gives it away that this is a newer structure, not an older barn, because they wouldn't build it like this.
So much stuff happening to this property to the point where you don't have to ever leave because there's so much to do year round between skiing, golfing, the lake, obviously the rodeo here that was brought back by the current owners. Because this actually was used in the 1940s. Okay, you guys can do the rest of the tour. All right, they clearly know more about the house than me, so. Okay, so these are the goats right here. And I don't know, maybe they want some hay and they'll continue talking about the property. All right, you guys can fight over this, but. So back into the tours, part of the history of the rodeo. It was never professional rodeo. It was more ranch hand style.
This is cool. You're also putting a show for all your neighbors, which is fine. But I like the stands. I mean, look, they're trying to give functionality to the property, which is what I like, right? When you have acres and acres of land, having a horse property and a rodeo, it's amazing. It's really, really cool. And it brings this cowboy aesthetics to the property, which I've never seen in Lake Tahoe at all. So you're differentiating your property against all the other properties because you got a lot of good things going for you. You have massive lake frontage. You're on the Nevada side, which will save you massive amount of money for your taxes if you spend more than 6 months in this property. And they're giving you all the excuses to stay all year round because you have a indoor pool, you have a rodeo, you have horses, you have multiple structures. You can invite your friends to come stay at with you. Well done.
Moving along, we're gonna go across these pavers and step over to Romeo, our first of 17 homes here at Shakespeare Ranch. This is incredible. And of course, they put Juliet right next to Romeo.
Do you see how these two structures don't go with each other? Like the windows of this property bothers me so much. Horrible placement. This fits in. I've seen properties just like this all over Lake Tahoe.
As you step up, you have this enormous tree just providing shade over this cabin. Now stepping in, you'll immediately feel the charm and just the home vibe. I mean, this home feels really lived in and that you could just easily bring your family over here. Again, this is a generational compound. The warm, light-toned hardwood floors, the cabinets also to match, and then a lot of the rustic tones being pulled out.
Did somebody urinate on these counters? Why did you pick this? I don't know. I would have got inspiration from like the green trees outside or wood, just natural wood. Again, I would have doubled down on the cabin vibe. It looks pretty bad. I'm not digging the counters whatsoever.
All the appliances are high end like you'd expect in a compound like this.
See, I wasn't expecting high end. That's the thing. It's like my expectations were actually not high end. My expectations were rustic. My expectations were continuation of the farm elements, especially from the exterior of this structure. I would have really thought it would be like a ski cabin lodge vibe. This looks way too bright, and it just doesn't go with the exterior architecture.
Off this kitchen, we have the living room, which is super cozy. It all opens up to the grounds. And as we step over here, you'll notice that we have actually 3 bedrooms and 3.5 baths just in this home.
Like the very minimum they could have done is use natural wood on the ceiling, right? That would have given that cabin vibe and element that would warm up the space. This looks like a typical property anywhere in America.
There's actually a total of 45,000 square feet we're gonna walk through on today's tour. And this is just the first home of, again, 17 structures.
Dude, this is a cult. If you're planning to start a cult and you want to find the right property, you can join my inner circle. Here's the QR code. If you're the right fit and your cult is the right fit, I would like to work with you to purchase a property like this or design a property like this where you can do your culty things.
And standing here at the end of this brick path, you just see the monolith granite rock that is Shakespeare's rock. It's just incredible. Once you see his face, you can't unsee it.
Dude, we've been squinting our eyes. I don't know what to look at. Why didn't you tell us? Come on.
And there's just so many things in this tour that we're gonna just pack into this video. We haven't even been to Glenbrook Club or even in the main house down on the water.
Oh, so there is a main house. Okay.
There's just so many things to get to. Imagine having a picnic lunch out here on this picnic table, and these are your views. I mean, it's just incredible. And of course, right next door we have Juliet. So stepping in, you'll notice just the New England kind of coastal classic charm in here, and fitting in with the vibe, we do have a Dutch door. So I love these, just kind of, again, keeping your animals and dogs in while still letting light and fresh air inside here. So just really well done and leans into the vibe that we have. So we have all these white shiplap planks, wide plank flooring, and then of course above you see it goes up to the second story here. Now stepping into the main living area, again remodeled. So this half bath has a brand new vanity, marble everywhere in here, and of course the nautical sconces, just leaning into that coastal charm that this cottage has. So
yeah, I agree. Like this one, you see how the exterior matched the interior? When you look at the property on the exterior, when you go inside, you have a continuation of the experience that what you were expecting as to Romeo had a dilemma, right? Juliet knows what the hell is going on. Now, architecturally speaking, this architecture fitting in a barn setting, rodeo setting, you might think it's out of place. But if you're using this as a resort or a 17 structure compound, you might as well try, architectural buildings that are, go with this style. And I would say the fact that this has sidings and it's not so architecturally different than the cabin we saw Romeo's cabin. So to me, totally fine. You want to give different experiences to your guests, fine. I have no problem with it.
And then these French doors open up onto your covered space and just a great deck to overlook your meadows here. To my left, we have the primary suite. So this is one of 4 bedrooms here in this home. And just by looking at it, obviously it's been renovated, but Juliet's living pretty well in here, you can tell. These French doors open up to, again, this deck and the views once again, and just a great blend of classic interior design with modern comfort. So we have Curry marble everywhere, deep soaking tub, and again, it just really blends into, obviously, this lakeside home.
Those horses are a little bit over the top for that bathroom. But overall, it's cohesive. Again, I'm not judging this as a main residence. It's a guest house, and I'm fine with the Juliet house.
So stepping out of these Dutch door, down the steps onto the communal lawn once again, the gazebo just on the far corner here, as you can wander over here and just, again, it's all about gathering. All the utilitarian things like the garage and structures are off to my right, and again, just hidden behind foliage to not get in the way of obviously what you're here for and the purpose. So funny enough, some of the most quaint and peaceful structures on this property are named after some prolific Shakespeare characters. We have Macbeth on one side and Othello on the other. They're both stories about 2 men who are undone by their own emotion, one by ambition and the other jealousy. So I thought that was kind of interesting because these cabins actually date back to the early 1900s. So
it even has a house number. See, I wonder if it's already subdivided. It's interesting. I don't know if this is for just aesthetics or they're actually like, multiple properties you're purchasing in one.
The barn was built in 1870 during the logging and mining boom. And then when after that all kind of faded, they made Glenbrook kind of like a vacation area. So this became a resort. So these are just, again, little cabins. So we have a full bedroom off to my right, full bathroom behind.
You see, this would be a ski cabin vibe energy in Tahoe. You would see a lot of interiors like that. And this is the first property out of all the structures I've seen, they're giving you that, ski resort, cabin, woodsy vibe.
This is where we began the tour. So this is, again, the oldest tree in Nevada. And we're gonna push out, because we're actually gonna work all the way down to the lake house, which is the primary residence. So over here is some really rich history as well, which dates back to the logging era. So again, this property is triple gated. This community is extremely small here in Glenbrook.
When he says community, like again, one of the main things, if I was consulting on this, is really looking at, what's yours and what's not, and what could you build and what you couldn't build. I think those are probably some of the most important legal elements that you have to cover, because from what he's saying, he says the community, and I want to know if, the roads are yours, like what could be used and what couldn't be used by other properties around you.
As you guys can probably see at this point, there are endless things to do here in Glenbrook, here on the east shore of Lake Tahoe. So this home is going to be the first one we tour in this color tone, and it's going to continue what I'm going to call the Shakespearean village. They're all dressed in white with green trim.
That column is completely out of place. Again, this is a weird entrance to the property if this is the main house.
This one has a 2-stall car garage out front, and it's nicknamed Merchant of Venice, which is one of Shakespeare's most famous plays, which is actually a comedy, but there's of course tragedy in all of their stories. But this is what we're going to call familiar luxury, because the big luxury here is being able to travel somewhere and connect with family, but it still feels very much like home. You feel comfortable when you're in here.
No, I don't. This is the tragedy. This arrangement is really weird, so disconnected. There's a lot of waste in the middle. I think if anything, the kitchen should have been in the middle, and then it would have connected way more naturally to the seating arrangement over there.
We have a total of 3 bedrooms and 2 full baths, and up this stairs, you have an incredible primary suite with just, again, amazing views of this little village we're about to go tour. Very intentionally done. So we'll walk this path. Natural stones will guide you over to the boot cellar. This dates back to the logging days, where the loggers would store their food. And now it's a little cellar that they actually use, and you can mix your wines down here. So there's a little bit of the mixology happening down here, and they've got leather chairs all set up in here as well.
I think this would be a cool spot in really, really cold wintry times, right? Like if it's snowing outside and you come down here and drink, it's like a little tiny little pub, wine tasting room. Not bad, pretty cool, well use of space.
As you look around, you see all these quaking aspen trees lining all the fence lines, and we're getting closer and closer every step to the water. And what they have down here is the longest privately owned pier on Lake Tahoe.
Okay, let's talk about the water quality in Lake Tahoe. And just so if you don't know, Lake Tahoe, I think, is the 2nd largest lake in America. It's massive and it's extremely deep. In certain parts of it, you have this really finer sand, which makes the water really, really clear. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I think Mark Twain spent a lot of times here, and he considered Lake Tahoe one of the most beautiful places, if not the most beautiful place on earth. And this property literally just borders some of the most gorgeous coastline of Lake Tahoe on the Nevada side.
Out here dancing like an acrobat. You got more to hide than a Siamese cat.
Okay, Lydia, pop quiz. How deep is Lake Tahoe?
16,000.
1,600. We're not gonna put that. Yeah, we're not gonna put that in the video though. But I think now we're gonna jump in the water.
Do a little cold plunge.
Do a little cold plunge. But it's stunning out here. All right, we're jumping off. We're doing it. 3, 2, 1. Woo!
I love lake houses much more than oceanfront properties. And I will tell you why. Because a lot more often on lake properties, you have a backdrop of mountains around the lake. You can see the depth of the lake. As to the ocean, a lot of times you just don't see anything. Again, it could be different cases where you could see islands and everything too, or the coastline, depending on how you're positioned. I just like to also the calmness of the water on a lake. There's a little tranquil element to it. There's almost not that many waves and you see the reflection of the mountains. But it does come with its downfalls as well, especially on the smaller lakes where the water level could fluctuate dramatically. So you could be lakefront, but you can't access the lake water because it's gone down. And that's why a lot of times you see these really long piers. So you could adjust your, if the water level goes down. And also mosquitoes, right? And the quality of the water. As to Lake Tahoe, being in a high elevation, you have, glacier water. It's extremely clean water. And it's one of the best places. If I lived in the Bay Area, I would certainly want to buy a vacation home on Lake Tahoe.
So we just finished up at the lake, and then we went golfing actually, because down this street is the Glenbrook Club. So there's a little 9-hole golf course up there, the clubhouse. Obviously you can grab food up there and everything. It's incredible.
You see, did this owner just buy a lot of different parcels of land in the community? So the road is shared for the community, but he just has, assemblage of many, many parcels together. Those are all really, really important elements, right? Is it one parcel? Is it, 20 different parcels? These are really, really important questions to answer.
We have 2 more structures right here. And these don't have that Shakespearean references that we see on all the other structures here in this space, but we do have the forest green trim, the white paneled wood everywhere. So the first home is a 1-bed, 1.5 bath home. This one is a 1-bed, 1 bath with a 2-stall car garage underneath. More wood shingles again. Just everything just filled with color here. And then all those natural stones just guiding you up to that entry. But now we're finally gonna hit up the main residence. This is incredible. You'll notice all.
Do you see this one has a house number? As to I just don't know the setup. I really want to know how the property was subdivided.
The forest green door again. You'll notice they alternated the colors between the green trim and the white here in the main residence. But as you step in, the focal point obviously is your view. You see the sparkling of the water down at the main cabana that we see down below in the water.
This is it? This is the focal point? Come on. Dude, it's harder to see the lake than Shakespeare on the mountain. Come on. There better be better rooms with better views than this.
So you'll step up, notice the white balusters, the warm woods, and the carpeted stairs. Everything is very simply put because this is your viewpoint right here.
Now we're talking. Okay. Wow. This is proper lake view, guys. We're in the promised land.
This view just keeps getting better and better as the day progresses. And here in the living space, just everywhere you look just has this timeless effect. You have a wood-burning fireplace centering this home, framed in that natural stone, which is brought in from the outdoors. The exposed trusses.
Exposed but painted. Again, you got to give the warmth a little bit. I think that, again, palette-wise, really good. Even the choice of furniture for this kind of a lake property, really not going the ultra-luxury route, right? Trying to make it super trendy and just keeping it authentic vibe and energy, I'm totally fine with it. But I want to see a little bit more natural wood here, and this was dumb to paint these trusses in white.
The views of the mountain ranges get taller and wider, and you can get closer to the snow-capped mountains. I mean, this has got to be one of the few places in the world where you can experience all this different topography from your living room window. It's incredible.
Okay, architecturally speaking, this is traditional, but the roof is in really bad shape. I mean, there's 3, is this not even treated over here? I'm really worried about this roof. In a winter climate like Lake Tahoe, you should really be worried about this. You got to get that checked out. I like the fact that you have a little beach house, separate house from the main house over here on the beach. Really cool. But they're not talking to each other. This looks like a box. There's no architectural accent. They could have had a bay window on the top or Romeo and Juliet balcony over here to kind of, resemble the main house. And they just haven't done that.
The oval-shaped dining table, a custom chandelier. And again, the views are just nonstop everywhere in this home. The fireplace just off the kitchen, just warming it back up once again, just leaning into that Cape Cod East Coast feel. And then here we have a bay window with this incredible breakfast nook. Imagine coming down here in the morning. And speaking of more incredible views, you can open up these French doors, and here you can dine outside. We have 2 heaters out here, so you can use this space year round and just listen to the waves crash. Now stepping into the kitchen, we have a nice pop of color.
Beautiful. Again, palette-wise, color-wise, they're nailing it. Really, really soothing, right? And it's subtle. They're not using really exaggerated, strong colors. Very light, just keeping your attention on the lake and not trying to outshine your, prime experience, which is looking out, not in.
Now stepping through this hallway, you have a little work area with another beautiful window and a little half bath here, more storage in the hallway. But now I want to bring you guys upstairs. Again, this is split level. So you enter the home and you go up or down. And here is our bonus room. But first, obviously you can see how close we can get to the beams here and just the views and just the elevation change that we have here. Playing a game of chess right here, just more incredible views as we step into the bonus room. Vaulted ceilings, more of those beadboards once again. And this is just an enormous TV setup right here. 3 TVs, so obviously this is where the games are being watched, and just more picture frame windows of Lake Tahoe.
Well, the trees are kind of blocking your view. This seems to have been a bedroom that they've converted to game room or TV room because you didn't really have that on the lower floor. I'm fine with it. But I think the number one thing you're thinking is like, Arvin, it's like cliffside. You don't have any land, right? It's totally fine. I mean, you had hundreds of acres. It doesn't bother me whatsoever to have this cabin in this scale just at the edge of the lake on a slope.
And we're going to check out the 3 bedrooms that sit down there. One of them obviously being the primary suite. As we turn one more corner, you'll notice this bay window just bringing more light in to the lower level. So going down this hallway, again, this just feels like a very homey house, very traditional. This one has more of that coastal aesthetic in blue. Just imagine reading a book right here, opening the window and just letting that breeze come in. And then of course there's a full bathroom, which leans traditional once again. And this might be my favorite bedroom in the entire home. As it faces west, we see the sunsets here and you're guarded behind more lush greenery. But once again, you have this seating arrangement right here. Same idea, open up these windows, just letting that natural breeze come in and just listening to the waves crash against these rocks.
Dude, you can't see the lake. This is a problem. You see, you have 17 structures and the only one that is on the lake, you're only getting lake views from the upper floor and not from the bedrooms because the trees are blocking it and I'm pretty sure you can't cut these trees down. This really raises the issue for me. Who is this property for? Because at this price point, you're not getting that massive one structure to justify, and a barn doesn't count. You can't sleep there, right? You would expect, or typical buyers would expect, one piece of structure that would have that oomph to it, right? You have that acreage, because for half the price of this, you can get lakefront properties in Lake Tahoe where there's a massive property, there's a big backyard in front of you, and then the lake starts. And you don't get that. To me, the best use is really a tech CEO who would buy this for their company to hold seasonal retreats, to build the company culture, to entertain their employees and have events. Other than that, for a residential or a typical buyer, I don't think anyone has a family this big to have 17 different structures on it. So you're dealing with a lot of upkeep without having the oomph of one property. So, and another play could be subdividing it and selling it, which I really would hate to see it because they've put so much effort to assemble this acreage together.
This is my favorite room aesthetically in the entire home. And there is another bathroom in here as well, so everyone is going to have their own ensuite. But now we're gonna walk back down and go into the primary suite. And this primary suite is incredible too. So as you step in, you'll notice the auditorial experience just change. You have a walk-in closet off to my right, a couple different directions, but first we're gonna walk into the bathroom. You've got more storage behind these doors, and just look how light and airy this is. You've got waves in the mosaic tiles down below.
This is better. Again, framed, I'm fine with this. Again, this is all right. This gets a pass. Not bad. Great place for a bathtub.
But you've got his and hers, both vanities and showers. And you'll notice on the walls, again, that checkered pattern that we've seen again and again. But now stepping in to the bedroom, Mark Appleton, the architect, when designing this home, he said he had to have the primary suite facing the views, and they did just that. And they executed it so well. Notice all the gold and yellow tones in here, the day bed, and just the sparkling that's coming through the leaves. It's incredible.
Okay, they actually had to make an effort to make sure they get some sort of view from the primary bedroom. Again, as long as you see at least 50% of the water, it's fine. I don't mind lush greenery next to it, especially if it's framing it. And it seems to be doing it. So it seems like there's one bedroom or primary bedroom that actually gets views along with the main floor of the property. Not good enough. It definitely does not justify the price tag. Justification for the price tag, it all comes from the acreage, from the land, and possible opportunities of what you would do with it.
But now, stepping outside, we're gonna visit the Waterfront cabana, which is Mike Dunn, the agent who you guys met earlier. This is his favorite structure on the entire property. And as we've seen, there's a lot of structures. 17 residences in total. Hot tub set just aside the primary suite, of course, for year-round living. A couple ways to get to the bottom. The quickest way, right here on these stairs, but we're gonna go through the front door here. There's also stairs that lead to the rooftop, which has more elevated views of what we see here. I mean, just very white, coastal beadboards everywhere. A full bathroom off to my right. Let's step downstairs. You'll notice more of the carpet-lined stairs. Just leaning into that traditional cottage vibe once again. Opens back up, so you could turn this into your meditation area and just a place to enjoy each other's company. And of course, Lake Tahoe.
No, do not turn it into a meditation area. This is exactly what you need. This is kind of like the lake house, right? Like you're swimming in the lake, you're coming off the boat, you want a place to chill, you want to watch the kids play on the lake. You exactly need this. Okay, before I give you guys the Arvin score, let me identify the avatars of buyer for a property like this. If you're thinking, vacation rental resort, absolutely not. If it was working, they wouldn't be selling it. Okay, and it would certainly not pencil in at the price they're asking today because I think the upkeep, the wear and tear, just how much acreage, landscaping you got going on over here, clearing snow, it would be extremely non-economical to take that route. So to me, you have two options. One is a company retreat, which I already mentioned. I think you could probably purchase it under your, corporation, use it as a retreat, and it functions as a team building spirit of Lake Tahoe, bringing the company together. I think it's a great fit as it is. You don't need to change much. You don't need to go the ultra luxury route. It's more of a experience, authentic experience, cabin experience, and you don't need to change much. But if you're planning to build your dream compound on this property, I think it could work. You can keep the barn and a few of the authentic architectural buildings on the property, the outdoor swimming pool, some of the staples, and the rodeo area. I think those are all great. But I think you need to get rid of 90% of the smaller Romeo and Juliet structures and see if you can build a massive, beautiful cabin that is grand and possibly get lake views from the second floor. Because it's a quite flat land. I don't know if you will be able to get that, but that would significantly impact the value if you could get views from the upper floor. If you want 12 months of support in designing, building, remodeling your property, here's the QR code. Check it out. I would love to be that guide who helps you save money, build it faster, and have a lot of fun. Okay, let's give it an Arvin score. Location, it's an absolute 10. I mean, this is the best part of Lake Tahoe for me. You're close to one of my favorite ski resorts. You're on the Nevada side. You're going to save a ton of money on your taxes. It's a no-brainer. Lot quality, another 10. I mean, your lakefront, hundreds of acres, or 130 acres, mostly flat. You've got gorgeous grounds. Lot utilization. Well, I don't know how to score this. I mean, I would say a lot of the structures were a little too close to each other, and that was a negative, but I'm going to give it a 5 because it really doesn't apply. Privacy. Look, I think there were a lot of other homes that would look into some of your acreage, but not really the main residences. I'm more worried about legal issues, boundaries, borders with properties than anything else. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 9 because overall, I think it's extremely private. Law orientation. Look, you got 17 different structures. So let's just talk about the land. It's west facing. I'm going to give it a 7. Architectural style. I'm going to give the barn structure a 10 because I thought it was such a good model to get inspiration from to build future barns and advise on other barns. I thought that was the interior of it. I thought it was what you would expect. The lake house, I don't think it was architecturally significant whatsoever. It was just a traditional property to me. So overall, I'm going to give it a 6. Views. You had a great combination of lake views, beautiful, at the same time, Shakespeare Mountain, right? And a lot of flat land and framed with trees, beautiful, beautiful views. I'm going to give it a 9.5. Layout. Again, the barn was a fantastic layout. I thought they did a lot of things right. Lake house, good wow factor once you come up the stairs. Only one of the bedrooms got, lake views. I'm going to give it another 7. Scale and volume. I don't know which structure to score. The lake house would get a 4. The barn would get a 10. So we'll give it a 5. Finishes. This is a great example of matching the finishes with the location and not overspending on expensive marble and a lot of other details. I think your palette could go a very long way. And in general, we saw so many different structures. I'm going to give it a 7. Now, here's the Arvin score. If you want to see a compound in Hamptons that just miserably failed, watch this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the comments.